Representing Oviedo, I'm Blair.
And I'm Brooke. Today we're broadcasting from all the way across the contiguous United States in the Pacific Northwest.
We're in Seattle for the 2019 Student Television Network Convention, along with about 3,000 students and advisors from all around the world.
On today's show, we're trying to learn what the locals know.
Every town has its history, and seeing as we're film and television students, what more appropriate aspect of Seattle to explore than Film Row?
In the 1900s, Film Row was the center of the film industry. For more, let's go to Davis Kruse.
Starting in 1926, the Rendezvous became a popular place for movie stars to grab a bite. But in 1932, it became a place where local distributors, visiting directors, and actors would gather for executive private screenings.
It was a popular item in the gossip columns to be mentioned lunching at the Vue. The building was owned by B.F. Shearer. He outfitted movie theaters up and down the West Coast. So during Prohibition, in the building downstairs, there was a speakeasy. In the speakeasy, there was a staircase that led directly 2 flights above to the very fancy offices of the president of whatever film office happened to be located in those offices at that point in time.
But in the late 1970s, many structures of Film Row were either abandoned or torn down. Film Row had died and the glory days were coming to an end. Then, in the 1990s, the Rendezvous began to revive itself and finally became a place where the spotlight could shine once again.
Today, the mission, our mission here, is to make the theater available to all of Seattle's artists and out-of-town artists as well, at a really affordable rate.
The Rendezvous continues to be a safe haven and stomping ground for new performers. Its intimacy attracts many and keeps locals in touch with what Seattle once was, but the soul is what reels in people. As of today, the Jewel Box is the last remaining screening room at the peak of Film Row and will continue to truly grasp the essence of Seattle's history. For Roar TV, I'm Davis Kruse.
Seattle residents are definitely gearing up for one of the more popular sporting events in America.
Today is opening day for Major League Baseball, and the Seattle Mariners have a high-profile opponent coming to town. Let's head over to Riley for our sports report.
Today's opening day, and the Seattle Mariners are facing off against the defending world champs, the Boston Red Sox. Opening day is significant to Major League Baseball as it sets the tone for how the teams will perform and gets the fans excited to see how their teams will play.
As a Red Sox fan, opening day always meant the hope of actually winning a World Series finally. It's a real electric experience. The ballpark is always crowded. Fans are more excited to really get the season underway.
This is the earliest opening day game that the league has ever scheduled. The Mariners have already opened their season against the A's, starting off at 2-0. For the Red Sox, this will be their first game of the season, taking on the Mariners at the newly dubbed T-Mobile. New and old stars, such as for the Mariners, pitcher Yusei Kikuchi, who the Mariners just signed from the Japanese Pro League. And for the Red Sox, pitcher Kruse, who is set to be a future Red Sox Hall of Famer, which will make this game an important game setter to start the season. The first game is at 4:08 Pacific Time and 7:08 Eastern Time. I'm Riley Finnegan with your sports report. Now back to Brooke.
Thanks, Riley. Right after this break, I visited a site the locals seem to flock to on the campus of the University of Washington.
We'll see you back here in just a minute.
Whoa, it's an open cut? Yeah, actually, I don't really know where to put most of this stuff. It's pretty easy. Put bottles into the recycle. Put wrappers and napkins and stuff into the compost. You don't need to throw anything away. Oh, it's that easy? Yeah, taking a little time out of your day helps the environment in a big way. For more information, go to www.seattle.gov.
Thanks to Kaleb, Brian, and Jack from our digital line productions class for that PSA. If you ever make it out to Seattle, you'll find a recycling bin next to every trash can.
Nature is a prominent part of this area. For many, it's what attracts them here.
And the University of Washington campus is home to a unique site in nature, but only for a brief time each year.
I had the chance to visit the quad on campus this morning and see nature in full bloom. It's spring break at the University of Washington. but you'd never know it based on the crowd in the quad. The blooming of the campus's cherry blossom trees is a sign to residents that spring has arrived.
I think this is very exciting. It's more like a traditional for all the UW students to come in here by the end of March. So every year on Twitter, there's actually an account called UW Cherry Blossom. They will put on live and then tell you exactly the day for full blossom. So this year will be March 31st.
But the science behind the blossoms is more certain than the history of this particular grove.
We got a huge gift from Japan, and the cherry trees were planted all over Seattle in different parks. These possibly were part of that shipment, but we can't prove it.
We may not know exactly where the trees came from, but locals come from all over the area to snap a photo with the blooming blossoms.
Here it's like the festival for all the friends. You hang out, you take pictures. It's more like a cherry blossom anniversary for you guys if you can see the same people in the same picture, same area each year.
On the weekends, you'll see tons of families and multiple generations of people. In Japan, it's very culturally significant to kind of have a party, come in here and spend all day underneath the trees and just people watch and have a picnic. And for that reason, I think it's really nice to see everybody coming together and just having a good time in these trees.
Right now I work in Seattle downtown, but still, before I go to work, I still want to come back here to see how the cherry is going right now.
These trees aren't likely to be the first stop for tourists, but to locals, they're a treasured sight. For Roar TV, I'm Brooke Tyler.
That's all we have for you today, Oviedo. It's been a pleasure bringing you a taste of Seattle.
Be sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Roar TV. We'll see you back home.
I'm Blair.
And I'm Brooke.